So today I'm going to be looking at the experience of another American who has lived in Poland. This is living in Poland as an American. First impressions, Polish culture shocks. And as I usually say on these types of videos, I do like to watch these because you really get a real feel of a country when you see people's own experiences. Me, as someone from the UK who's lived in a lot of different countries, I've experienced a lot of different culture shocks. I usually kind of relate to these people and interested to see what this person's got to say. Let's watch and you can tell me what you think.
Love is their yogurt. I don't know what it is about their yogurt, but their yogurt is to die for, and I wish they had it here because like I crave it all the time. And
Polish
then the
yogurt.
juice. I don't know where they come up with all these juices, but it's really good. They have like a banana juice, they have cherry and apple, and it's the best juice I've ever had. So there is tons and tons of good food in Poland. I am not
Yeah, so that's actually interesting. I know it's just yogurt and juice, but when you hear an American say that, it's one thing you always hear about America is that their food is always filled with additives, a lot of rubbish. It can always be very sweet. When you go to Europe, when you go to a place like Poland, the yogurt and juice in this example, but the food in general is just a lot healthier, tastes a lot better. And that's obviously, I think, what he's trying to say there.
a fish person. I very much dislike fish. But in Poland, they eat a lot of fish, especially around Christmas time. They have a thing called Vigilia, and that's the Christmas Eve. And what you do is you eat fish, and they have this fish called sledge, and it is, I don't even know what it is, but it is so gross. And they make you eat it because it's
Is that
tradition.
true?
So
Is it nice or not?
that's one thing I really didn't like. You go into the markets and they actually have bins of just water with catfish in there and other fish, and and they're like swimming around, and you have to get them with your bag and put them in the bag. And I just remember seeing people with their fish in the bag on like the little conveyor belt to checking out, and it's just flopping around. Other than that, the food is amazing. Like I love Polish food, and I really miss it. They do a lot of like cabbage. There's something called bigos, and what they do is they take that cabbage, tons of different types, and what they do is they put it in a pot and they season it, and they like put it outside for maybe like 4 days and let it kind of ferment, and then they put some kielbasa, so some Polish sausage in there, and they cook it up. And you'd think it'd be really gross, but it is amazing. It is really good, obviously depending on who cooks it, but I don't think I ever had any bigos that wasn't good. So that is something that I really like. Gołąbki is amazing as well. And what they do is they use that cabbage and they boil it and make it soft, and then they put some like a meat inside, or sometimes they use mushrooms and stuff, and it's really good. And they'll put some like red sauce on it. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's amazing. So those are a couple of my favorites. But the traditional foods, obviously Polish sausage, right? It's really good. I love Polish sausage. They call it kielbasa in Poland, and there's a lot of different kinds that they have, and I don't think I ever had any that was gross. And then their traditional soups. So żurek is one of my favorites. I don't even know what's in it, but it's really tasty. And actually, you might be familiar with the restaurant Zupas. Zupa in Polish means soup, and I believe it's similar in other European Slavic countries as well, but that's just kind of a fun fact. And then pierogi, which are amazing, and they fill them with a ton of different things. Z mięsem, so with meat, z serem, so with cheese, and then my least favorite, mushrooms. I'm not a huge fan of mushrooms, but a lot of people really like those. So pierogi are really good as well. Polish food kind of versus American food. We as Americans, unfortunately, consume a lot of fast food, and over there they do have fast food restaurants, but I very rarely met a Pole that would eat fast food, or a lot of them hadn't ever even had it. So they cook out of their own homes and they make their own Polish food. a big difference
Yeah, just with regards to fast food, that's not something I've really thought about. Is there a lot of fast food chains in Poland? He said that people in Poland don't really eat fast food. Is that true? Have you seen people eating more of it over time? You know, like I see that in a lot of different countries that as time goes on, fast food just becomes more popular. People become more unhealthy, but it doesn't seem to be the case for Poland. And if so, what's the most popular fast food chain in Poland?
between American and Polish food would be sugar, sweetness. I feel like here in the United States we have a lot of sweet sugar in our foods, as opposed to there. It is a little bit more bland. However, it is very tasty and really good. They do a lot with meats and like I guess breaded foods, so like the pierogi and stuff like that. So that's a big difference. They use a lot of salt and different things like that to kind of give the food a really good taste. Most people, when they hear Warsaw, Poland, the first thing they think is it's freezing there. The winters are very cold and almost bone chilling is the best way to describe it. It feels like when you walk outside, the cold just goes straight to your bones, and you feel like if you're gonna bump your leg or something, that you're just gonna break your leg. It's so cold. And it does snow quite a bit. I remember many times walking out on the street and trying to contact people, and they just wouldn't talk to you because it's so cold and you have to keep moving to stay warm. And also my lips freezing and my mouth freezing, so like I had a hard time speaking. I remember one time a man walked past us. He had tears running down his face, and I was wondering why. I was like, I wonder what happened in his life. And my companion said it's because it's so cold that he has those tears kind of running down his face. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Pretty cold over there, but summer is great. So transportation in Poland is very different from here in the United States. You use a lot of buses and tramways. I don't even know what those are called. Trolleys, I guess. Subways and trains. So you go onto the train station and on the platforms, and you all these trains are coming and going, and so you'll hop on the train and take your luggage and put them above a seat and sit down and ride to your city, and it'll stop many different times, and that was a really new experience for me because I had never done that before. But once I got used to it, I really enjoyed it. Poland is full of history and a lot of interesting places to see. A couple of places that I really enjoyed. First was Auschwitz. I mean, it's definitely a good place to go see and to learn from what went on there, as well as there are a lot of different castles and church buildings, Catholic churches, that are very renowned in the world. There's Malbork Castle, which is kind of in the northern part of Poland near Gdańsk, and it's one of the biggest, I think it is the biggest brick castle in the world, and it's ginormous. It's really neat. It was a fun experience to go see that and see how big it is, and just being in a castle is a really cool feeling. Also, there's a lot of castles in the south that are either abandoned or just have few people that go to it, and we found a couple of those. In Gdańsk, there's a chapel, and it's called Kapliczka Mariacka, and it is the biggest brick chapel, I guess, Catholic church in the world, just like Malbork. But it's really big and really cool. They have like a tower that you can hike up, and it's just like a winding staircase to get to the top, and you can see the whole city, and that was really neat.
Yeah, just with regards to the castles and the churches, apart from the ones he mentioned, the biggest ones, what do you think the most interesting castles and churches are in Poland? Like, where would you recommend people go to see for castles and churches that are very unique in Poland.
Also, the Renex, which are like the center of town. Most cities have like an old town. It's really, really cool, kind of an open area where a lot of people hang out. There's a lot of shops and things like that. Warsaw's old town's really cool. Gdańsk has a really pretty old town. And Wrocław, Kraków. And then one of my favorites, Zamość. I think that's one of the most beautiful Burenex, so like town centers I've seen. It had a lot of bright colors and a really big building in the middle. It looked like kind of like a palace with these staircases going up. And when I went there, it was during the winter, and they actually had like an ice skating rink that I had put out in front of it, and it was just a really, really cool place. And there's a lot of other really interesting places like the Baltic Sea in Gdańsk. That's really neat. Down south near Kraków, there's salt mines that are a big tourist attraction. I never actually went there, but I heard it was pretty interesting. So those are some interesting places to see in Poland. So Polish is, in my opinion, one of the hardest languages in the world. One of the things that was really, really challenging was the different endings that they put on nouns and adjectives. There are, I believe, six or seven different cases. So you have to memorize all these different endings for the words. Depending on what you put as the ending kind of determines what you're actually saying in the sentence. And so that was really, really challenging, and to this day I still struggle at getting the grammar correct, just because it is so challenging, and how they actually formulate their sentences. A lot of times they'll speak backwards, almost like Yoda style. I actually had an opportunity to go to Auschwitz and the concentration camp, and see kind of the facilities and watch a film on kind of what happened. And it was really, really sombering to actually be there and to know what went on. And as we walked around, they were telling us how many people slept in these little buildings that they had, and it was just a really, really sad experience. And just because of Poland's history, it kind of shows why the people are the way they are. They're not the most open people up front, but once you actually break down that wall and you get to know them and show them love, they are truly so loving and will do anything for you. And I kind of relate that to the history and what they've been through, just because of World War II and Nazi Germany coming in and destroying a lot of Poland. And they have had a really hard history, and they're still growing and still slightly bitter about that, but they're great people, and I love them.
Okay, that was really cool, man. So yeah, a lot of interesting things there, all about the food, the culture, the places, the language. Again, if you're from Poland, tell me what you think about them. Do you agree with everything he said? Or maybe there's some things you disagree with regards to maybe people in Poland not being as open and things like that. Do you think that's fair? Yeah, what do you think about that? So, as I said, I think it's always a good way to learn about a country is to hear people's experiences that are not from that country. They get this, like, maybe a different viewpoint than people who are from that country have. So just very interesting observations, impressions. Tell me what you think about those, and keep recommending more videos about Poland, and I'll check them out soon. Thanks.